Welcome back to Intentional Carnivore, and I am so honored and glad to have the Texas boys. And I kept saying Texas boys, but I want to say Texas boys and girl, you know. I'm glad to have you guys on. I'm honored to have you guys and be able to speak with you guys. I've been looking forward to this conversation. Just because I really resonated with you guys for the short time we had on the 24-hour live the other week. So I appreciate you guys coming on and speaking with me tonight.
Thanks for having us
Yes,
on,
thanks
Sean.
so much, Sean.
Absolutely, and good to see everybody jumping into the live already. If you guys will, you know how it works. No matter where you're watching it, whether you're watching it on their channel or mine, hit that like button for us, and it'll push the video out. And if you have any questions for either one of us, just put a Q by it in the comments, and we will get to you as soon as we can. But TD Faith, it's good to speak with you again. Like I said, I've been watching some of your stuff. But for anybody who's tuning in that doesn't know who you guys are, will you just tell us a little bit of your background and some of your story?
Yeah, sure. So, we're the Texas boys, and we strategically relocated to Texas about 10 years ago, and we wanted to focus on our food. Our
Mhm.
food, our channel's about faith, family, and food. We wanted to design and live an intentional lifestyle, obviously centered around God and the God of the Bible, and we are Bible believing Christians, and that is the foundation of what we do. And we want to honor and glorify God, and we felt that we could do that better if we strategically relocated for Southern culture. We wanted to be rural. We wanted to have dirt. We wanted to plant lots of trees, and we wanted to grow lots of vegetables.
Yes, joke's on us.
And and we wanted to live this intentional lifestyle. So we moved 10 years ago with three boys
Yes.
that famously became known as the Texas boys.
Mhm.
And then we had two more boys and a girl here in Texas. And we are fully entrenched and ensconced in the Texas lifestyles. We are Texans
Yes,
and the Texas culture. Our boys want to be cowboys.
they are.
We want to all grow up here. We've been slowly accumulating what I call dirt coin. We've been accumulating dirt. We currently have about 50 acres. We raise our own cows. Recently, we just started selling our own grass-fed beef and pork. So if y'all are local to the Northeast Texas area and are interested in that, deposits will go back online here soon. And that has been just a blessing and incredibly successful. And so that's just a little bit. So, we were just a little bit more of our story as concerning carnivore. We were always very concerned with our food, eating whole foods, not processed. For a extended period of time, we want more plant-based and vegan. My wife had thyroid cancer, and the Lord healed her of that. And we were using a lot of different Gerson protocol and different things like that.
And we did seek conventional medicine.
Yeah,
I was
and we
down
went
at
to
MD
we went to
Anderson,
MD
the
Anderson. We went
cancer
to the
hospital, and
best place on the planet.
praise the
And
Lord, it was healed
when
before
they
then.
did, yeah,
Yes.
by the time we got there, they did the biopsy, 9 cancers.
Mhm.
But the crazy thing is her neck was still swollen. And we said, well, what can we do about this
Right.
goiter? Nothing. We can cut it out for you. If you don't
Yeah.
like the way it looks,
Yeah.
we'll cut it out.
Yeah.
Well, it's relatively speaking, it's totally gone. Um,
Yeah.
so, they
Yeah, praise the
refused.
Lord.
The diet is never the issue.
Yeah, it's
You can,
amazing. Yeah, when we were there at that cancer center, and if you've never been down to that part of Houston, it is amazing. I mean, when you talk
it's a
about
city.
the money wheel and the racket that is the healthcare system, and hey, we appreciate healthcare, modern healthcare. We wouldn't have many of our children if we didn't have modern healthcare because they've all come into different things along the way. So we appreciate it. There's a place for it, absolutely. Our oldest son just had his second shoulder surgery. So we're not against modern
No,
healthcare
no.
by any
Yeah.
stretch. But when you're down there and you're in this like metropolis of hospitals that are all these cancer hospitals, so it's a heavy feeling.
Mm.
And and these people, it's their whole life,
Yeah,
and
everybody
it's just
there has cancer.
yeah. But
It's heavy.
but when you see what they're eating, like when they're in the waiting rooms and it's just cookies and it's soda and they're smoking outside, not everybody, but
It's
and it's just like there's no lifestyle component to
yep.
it. And they say like, oh, we're having this team meeting, and they're going to have all this team of doctors, and they're all going to come together and combat at this all these different ways. And it's like, but health and nutrition is not like lifestyle. Food is just not a thing. And I asked them, I said, is there anything that I can do? And they said, no. I said, there's no supplement I can take. There's nothing I could change to get rid of, these big old knots in my neck. No, there's nothing. And I'm like, okay, just keep checking it, every few months. And so anyway, that was a little
they wanted
bit of
us
our
to keep
story.
coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were highly plant-based on and off for many years. And then we just recently, it's been 124 days today that we have been carnivore. And yeah, and I kind of came to it. We've been watching different channels. I watched Carrie from Homestead How, and I was like, huh. And our friends, they've been carnivore for a year now.
Yeah.
And I disapproved of it totally. But but I wasn't going to say anything against it because they were so sick and unhealthy, and all of their medical conditions were taken care of. I mean, like his diabetes. I mean, they were very overweight. They just had so many health things going on. And it all went away within a year. It just came on a year now, and it's been gone for a while, like 6 months, 8 months. They've been just like different people. So I was like, well, I'm not going to say anything against her, because she's doing good, but that can't be healthy. Oh, that can't be, that's not right, So anyway, so then I was watching Carrie's channel, and I was like, huh, yeah, he's getting healthier too. Huh, and then meanwhile, we're still falling apart over here doing the plant-based whole foods thing, we're just getting older and sicker and more problems,
tired.
and his arthritis just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. His bones are disappearing. And I'm just like, well, we do have
Can't hurt.
Yeah, we could try it. What is there to lose? We have meat in the freezer. We're homesteaders, right? We have meat. We just weren't eating that much of it. And yeah, it's just been a night and day difference. We're different people than we were 120, whatever I said, 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
124. It's amazing. You touched on so many things right there. Like, as far as the cancer, I had a good high school friend of mine who just passed. I think it was 2 weeks ago now, from cancer, and she lived in Ohio, and she had been up there for a while, and it was absolutely heartbreaking to watch how it just played out. Her having to send her children to their dad's house and say goodbye to them, and even before the time came. Because she knew that there was nothing left. She was at the end, and she fought it. And I spoke to her over a year ago, and I said, I kept trying to tell her, and I'm not saying it would have made a difference at that point. Right. I'm just saying I have to share what I know with people, because there are things, if anything that would help, I would. And if I had that answer, I want to give that away, And nevertheless, she struggled. My mother-in-law 2 years ago, and my dad's girlfriend died in the same week, within 2 days of each other, from lung cancer. She was trying to get her my mother-in-law kept going to the doctor trying to figure out what was wrong with her, and it's nothing, come back in 6 months if it gets any worse. And turns out that was the thing, that was a spot where the cancer had come through, and it had already spread by the time they found it. So there is, I spent 12 years working EMS. I've been in some form of health care for a lot of my life. I'm not mad at the system. I think the concept of health care is great. I think that along the way, just like everything else, at a certain point, greed takes over, and it becomes the bottom line. Am I saying that every doctor is greedy? I'm not. There are great doctors out there.
Yes.
There are great nurses out there. There are people on the front lines of EMS still in the streets that I used to work with, putting their tails in dangerous situations and taking on the mental stress, PTSD, and what you will, that a lot of people will never realize giving of themselves at the neglect of their own health most of the time.
Yeah.
And you know, so I'm not mad at the system. I just think that there are answers, and you know, we're not being told a lot of the truth, and it's time that people like you, people like myself, you know, who have seen those healing, we have to say something. You know, you know, whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's whatever it is, for him that knoweth to do right and doeth it not, to him it is a sin. That's what the word says.
That's right.
And that applies across the board, I feel like.
Yeah. So how about for you now? How many days or how long has it been that you've been on Carnivore?
A little over 530 something, I think. I started April the 17th. So my story, my story is I have seen some of those healings as well. I started April the 17th, 2022. And it was the day my life literally changed. I'd spent the last 3 years depressed, not wanting to wake up another moment, not working. I was 457 pounds. I had type 2 diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, sleep apnea. I was on amlodipine, lisinopril, HCTZ for my hypertension. I was on colchicine and allopurinol for my gout. I was extreme. When I say depressed, I was literally didn't want the lights cut on in the room I was in because the lights were blinding to me. I would lay on the couch. I couldn't take a shower without sitting on the side of the tub. Okay. That's how winded I was. I couldn't walk to my car without being out of breath. I couldn't stand for longer than 30 minutes without the backs where my sciatic nerve area is going numb. And I make fun of myself now, I guess. You know, I was like a tipping goat or whatever they call them. You know, the ones that, what is it?
The fainting goat.
Yes.
The fainting goat. That's it.
Yeah.
I was called the fainting goat. I say after about 30 seconds, if I don't sit down, I'm gonna fall over. I was bigger around than I was tall. And so, but I have lost 269 pounds. I am off of all of those medications. I no longer have hypertension. I do not have to sleep with that stupid Darth Vader mask on every night. It's a habit, and sometimes I find myself putting it on anyway. I have not had any gout flare-ups, and I have not taken any gout medications since I started eating carnivore. And the mental health, getting rid of that depression is better than all the other stuff probably combined.
Absolutely.
I feel like.
Absolutely.
That depression is captivating, it is debilitating, and it gives me back so much of my life. And I always have to throw in that all those things that I say, all the people that hear me, you know, I'm going to say it till I'm absolutely, it's cliche, and I'm good with it. But the things that you can't see is like me being able to be a husband to my wife again, being a father to my dad again, to be a son, to be a brother, to be an employee, to not feel worthless because I can't provide for my family.
Yeah.
Those are things that are priceless. That until you can't do it, you don't realize the significance of doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's what I think is that when you're like watching a Dr. Barry live stream or a Dr. Chafee live stream, you know, you're hearing these questions from these different people or these different reports of success from these different people over different things. But it's like, you don't realize that's just the one person, but that one person's life impacts so many people around them. Like me and him feeling good and being healthier and mentally in the game, you know, that impact on our children and our church family and our neighbors and just being outside, like there's no way to measure, like you said, all of that.
There's not 100%.
Yeah. And the one thing that, I mean, I never talked about as a young person, I dealt with depression, and since I've been married, I've never dealt with that, but my my shoulder issue had literally incapacitated me to the point where, you know, one time we were going on a trip and I'm like, I can't go. And I had to lay in bed for 2 weeks. And, you know, I didn't sleep. I was, relatively speaking, I mean, I could suck it up. I didn't sleep. I could suck it up. I could go to work. I could come home. I was past exhausted and I was existing. Um, and for all the same things like you're saying, as far as being a husband and a father and all these different things, they're saying, Sean, that your volume's a little low.
Man, all right, let's turn it up.
I wrestle those things too. It sounds great on our end, but
I fight the technology.
So how did you come to Carnivore, Sean? How did you first hear of Carnivore?
Is that better right there? Hello?
It sounds great to us, but
right.
maybe in the chat they can let us know if that's better.
Awesome. Here, I'll sit forward. If I get too loud, y'all just let me know in the chat. But yeah, so how I came to Carnivore. I came to Carnivore, I was laying on the couch doing what I normally did for those 3 years, and I would listen to Joe Rogan. I don't agree with everything Joe Rogan says, but I thought he was fair, and he had a lot of great interviews. And I can agree to disagree with people, so that's what I did. I always learned something. And he had on Sean Baker and all kind of people, but this particular thing that I remember, he was interviewing Rhonda Patrick, who's not for the carnivore diet, but they were discussing it. And whenever, like I said, I had been depressed for so long, I literally woke up. If I could have found a way to explain to my wife and kids in a letter of why I was going to do what I was going to do, I wouldn't be here having this conversation. I was like, that's where I was at. It was bad. And so, like, hearing that discussion with them about carnivore and how it helped them physically and whatnot just got me to thinking one day, you know, I just got curious about it. And, you know, and one day, so the other side of it is I prayed and I asked God, I cannot get myself out of this mess. Like, I got myself here. I'm in a hole. I'm in a ditch. Like, I don't know how to get out. If you don't get me out, like, I'm done with this life. I can't take much. I can't live like this. But if you do, I want you, specifically, my words were, I want you to do a work in me that only you can be given the credit for doing. And Amen. I got up from there, man, and like, I believe in prayer. I know that it works. And like, for whatever reason, I started looking up, what in the world is carnivore? What is the process? I've never heard of it. And I came across this insane Dr. Barry guy who is a physician for longer than 20 years. And the thing that he's saying is, I didn't have to buy into a program. I didn't have to go out and run a marathon. I didn't have to buy his subscription to his unique special formula patented by whatever. All I had to do was eat beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Try that for 90 days and see how that works and whatever. And I'm like, man, I could eat as much as I want till I'm full. I don't know, man, but let's try it. So I did for the month of October of 2021. I did it for 30 days just to see what it would do. You know, I'm being picky, and I'm in this place in my life, and I'm being picky. Like, let's just see what it do. You know? like I have an array of options out there. You know, so after October, and it was the dirtiest version of carnivore you could imagine, but it was so drastically different from what I was eating on the standard American diet and the garbage that we ingest all the time that I could tell a difference in my body. But I also knew that you got Thanksgiving coming up, you got Christmas, you got my birthday, which is in January, you got February, which is Valentine's Day. I'm not going to stick to a diet. It's just not going to happen. So I kicked that can down the road, and then it became I'll start it Monday. I'll start it next Wednesday. I'll start it whenever, blah, 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 blah. And finally, it just April the 17th, 2022 was the day. I was like, I've had enough. I'm not doing this. No, there's nothing special about that day. It was like right before, it was the week before our, Easter. And my wife says, what are you going to do at our family get together? Because we have
Right.
Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. Our family gets together and has a big cook meal. I said, well, I hope they got some meat. I'm serious about this. Like I'm an all or
That's
nothing
right.
guy. And
There
so
you go.
I went in hard, and I had found my way into Carnivore Quest with Larry and Cassie Berquist. I love those guys, and I just started learning and growing, and they would do challenges. And
Okay.
the first challenge they did was beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for the month of June, and that's
Okay.
whenever I went from regular carnivore into beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And then July is when I started walking, and I made. There's actually one of the only videos that I have from that time period of my life is actually on my channel because I was getting rid of my phone and I uploaded it to keep from losing it. And there's a video of me walking from July the
Yes.
2nd,
I
2022
saw
on
that.
my channel, and
Mhm.
it's something, man. But that's how I came to it. That's how I found it, and it's amazing
That's
what it's
awesome.
done for
So
my life.
So Carnivore Quest, for those of you who don't know, they can find that still over on Facebook and YouTube, or
Yeah, they got Carnivore Quest is the YouTube channel, and then Carnivore Quest Community is the Facebook group.
okay, alrighty.
Yes.
So and you are involved with the Steak and Butter girl, Bella. Do you pop in there sometimes as a coach
I,
or
I,
an
well,
encouragement?
I pop in there, and just visit with them. I am going to be speaking
Okay.
in there on the 16th to her group.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind coaching with Bella. I love Bella. I think she's got a great heart and a great setup, man, as far as trying to help people. And she's got a plan. I don't know some of their stuff is confusing to me, all their charts and their
Right.
fasting plans.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I don't know all that stuff. But
Right.
it does put labels on stuff that I think is good. But yeah, absolutely. I'll pop in there. I'm in Dr. Barry's group, and I also
Okay.
last night I was in there with Dr. Kiltz, talking with him.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. Okay. That's great.
just fellowshipping with everybody. I love working together with good, like-minded people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what has been the reaction from your family and friends? Has it been are they happy that they have this new person in their life now, or
well, yeah, at first they were a little skeptical. I was even
okay.
skeptical at first, but nobody was eating this way. Everybody had their questions, but I had been in such a dark place for so long that I like you did with your friend, anything would help. They're that bad off.
Yes.
And I know that's how my family, because I literally would not go anywhere. I would not leave my house. I would not, I my neighbors would volunteer or ask my wife if she needed somebody to cut the grass. And if anybody who knows me personally knows that my grass, like I cut it 3 times last week, because not that it needed it. I cut my grass when I need it sometimes. Just to be doing stuff. I know it doesn't make sense. My neighbors think I'm crazy, but like, that's just me. But during that 3-year time period, it looked like a jungle because I couldn't do it, stuff like that. So, I don't know, man, it makes a huge difference. But my family, now my wife has been doing it since May. My sister and my brother-in-law both eat this way. My mom eats this way
Wow.
very strictly. And honestly, the whole thyroid thing, issue that you were battling in cancer, my mom had Hashimoto's, and that's why
Oh, wow.
I would beg my mom just to do keto because I knew that it would
Sure.
help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's so good.
and one for you guys, man. You guys met in April of 1998, right? So, like, I knew that you guys had the 3 children, but in one of the podcasts that you guys did right before, like 2 days before the 3rd child was born, TD lost his job and was
Oh wow, we got a super
struggling,
fan. We have a super fan in the house here.
and no, well, I study everybody, but I just want, like, can you speak to, like, you're juggling all these things. You're running a family. You're getting, you've got a new baby on the way, you've lost your job, the stress that you go through and how you have learned to deal with those situations from that point to this, like to now. How has it changed?
Only Jesus. We can say
Well,
that.
yes.
Only the Lord. It wouldn't have happened without the
Yeah,
Lord.
it would not have happened without the Lord. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because at that time, I vigorously exercise 6 days a week. So at that time, to manage my stress and my hypoglycemia, before I met my wife, I was a gym rat. And so I exercised probably too much, which might be why I have joint issues. Yeah,
No, it was a plant-based diet.
I've, you know, being a Christian and spending time in the Word and in prayer, and with exercise. Now, and it's real interesting having your physicality. It's one thing to gradually, if you become overweight and docile on different things, but my ability to move was basically over a 7-year period. It would like come and go, and it would get really bad. And you can ask my wife, like, I was never suicidal or anything, but I was like, if I died.
He kept saying he was Job, like several times a week. He'd be like, I'm just Job. I'm just waiting to die. And I'm like, well, you're only like 40. We did this for a long time now. I'm like, and I'm like, you're not Job. But he just had no quality of life anymore because the arthritis was so bad. I mean, he could go to work. At times he couldn't function at work.
Yeah.
At times he had an assistant that would do the physical things for him. And then that was all that he could physically do. And then he would just come home and sit in the recliner and then not sleep all night long because you're in pain. And so there was just lots of challenging things. And I mean, it's just been very surreal to just watch him just progress and just have motion back and just strength and ability. And the other night he was running around in the backyard with the little kids and we were trying out our sprints, which is really funny for people that are like pushing 50 now,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, all these doctors are talking about these sprints. We need to sprint, honey. Well, my 5-year-old can sprint faster than me, I found out, but that's okay. That's not discouraging me. But we were having a race. We were having a challenge going on. And he was deciding, who out of the bigger boys he could beat sprinting. And it was just fun, but it was just very surreal to see him in the backyard running around and the little kids chasing him and the big boys trying to beat him. And it's just a whole different life. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And to that end, the big thing with being a dad, overcoming adversity and, staying positive. And we've instilled this into our boys. We have a child rearing class. We have a course that we offer, and then our boys offer a young men's course. But a large proponent of that, other than our biblical beliefs and having God being first and foremost, and having our life centered around Christ, is goals, having written goals, having annual written goals. It's so powerful. That's something that I learned as a young adult, and I started to do that even before I met my wife. And I wrote down some goals, and I just lost a piece of paper, never thought about it again, found the piece of paper like 5 years later. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I hit all these goals, and I had totally forgot that I'd written all these things down. And so I continued to do that year after year. And now our boys are doing it, and our oldest boy, Matt, he writes down these goals every year and he hits them, and now they have all these diversified businesses and everything. And I would say that is, and that goes right in with your health and fitness goals and all these different things, man. Write them down, just do a little bit every day. It sounds like a platitude. It sounds like so insignificant, but if you do that, and I'll give you an example. So I was at work, and everybody should know that I went carnivore. Everybody knows about what happened with my shoulder because I didn't know if I was going to have to retire. And if I did retire, I didn't know what in the world I was going to do. So they knew that I was super out of commission, even after the stem cell and all that stuff,
Surgery.
and the surgery and the stem cell and everything. And so I'm in my one colleague's office. The owner of the company comes in, and check this out. This is so funny. The owner of the company, oh, you should hear Jordan Peterson. He only eats meat. I'm going to do that. Right. So he's like, yeah, I'm just eating meat for like the next week. Right. So, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on day 120 or whatever. Right. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, so you're just eating meat? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I got a YouTube channel. The whole entire world knows what I'm doing. You should pay attention. Anyway. So, my colleagues there, tall fella, definitely overweight. And I've been talking to him about carnivore because he's doing CrossFit and high intensity interval training and all this stuff. Right. And I'm like, dude, you should do it. So what happened? So we're having this conversation. And I said, look, but after my surgery and after my stem cell treatment, I couldn't do one push-up. So all I did is I got down on the floor and I just started repping out push-ups while I'm talking to him. Right. And I repped it, and they were like, and I was doing the hard kind, lifting 1 foot off the ground and all that stuff. And they were like, whoa, this is crazy. And I'm talking the whole time, and I burn out like 40 push-ups, super strict. And I got up, and my buddy's like, I'm doing it the next 60 days. So he's 5 days in, and he's lost 8 pounds.
Yes.
Right. And all we need to do is demonstrate this, because like, oh, what about your cholesterol and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's way too many people doing this, and nobody's like, the only people that I know of that are having strokes are people that are not doing this. They've already done lots of other things, but the proof's in the pudding. Yeah. The beauty of this is that's what I tell everybody, if you try it for 30 days, like, unless you do it wrong. And the biggest danger is like a lot of people, and you kind of referenced it, dirty carnivore is, I'm like, look, if you're going to do it for real. It's 30 days. Mm-hmm. Like, but do it for real, because don't half do it and then say, oh, that stupid carnivore thing don't work, because you're self-sabotaging. You're setting it up. You don't want it to work. And that's another thing that I wanted to mention when it comes to setting goals. We do self-sabotage, right? And we set it up, right? And well, just like, you had done carnivore for 30 days, and then you'd kind of already programmed yourself. Well, and the next thing you know, years goes by, and how much further down the road could you be if you start out, you do it right from the beginning, solid for 30 days. In my opinion, once it starts to really heal you, it's a self-regulating mechanism, because you will not cheat because you feel like trash. And you're like, no, I really love and enjoy feeling good. I love spending time with my family. I love getting a good night's sleep. I love having like 16 to 18 hours of energy. Like now I'm like, it's 10 o'clock. I need to go to bed because I got to wake up at 5. And like, I should just go to sleep. And it's kind of crazy, because before, by like 8 o'clock, you're like, whoa, man, I need to like go to sleep. Like, I'm already like dozing off, and it's so dramatic. Yeah. And it's so self-evident and it's so funny. I was on a job, and I was inspecting some work, and I'm talking to one of my subcontractors, a Spanish guy. And so I climb up the ladder. He's like, now I was never heavy. Like, I lost 10 pounds when I went on carnivore. He's like, now I have lost a lot of muscle mass from not being able to lift heavy and do stuff. He was like, you look really different. Did you lose weight? And what happened is, I think my head shrunk,
all the
inflammation.
Away,
yeah. Just my head. And I was like, it was so funny. That was just like 2 days ago. Yeah. I'm on this job, and he was like, yeah, you look really different.
You do look really different. Yeah. He does look really, really different. We're not doing a shirt off picture or anything like that anytime soon, but he does look really different.
do the fireman's calendar or whatever.
Yeah, no. We'll be skipping out on that. Yeah.
We'll
So
let
you're
Chafee
just
and all them do that.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
right.
Yes, sir. So you're just a man on a mission. You're just here, there, and everywhere that I look around in the carnivore space. You're just popping up everywhere. And you just seem to be on fire, just spreading this message to people and just giving them some hope.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about to me, and that's the whole mission, man. Believe me, I had no motivation and no discipline hardly at all. If I did, I wouldn't have ended up where I was at. It's literally, motivation follows action is what I say. I made a shirt out of it because I believe that. I believe that you have to put work in. So many times I made let me slide back up to the mic. So I want y'all to hear it real clear. I made so many excuses for all the issues and all the problems in my own life that I had control over. I had to take responsibility for. Quit, making excuses and passing the buck off onto everybody else. Why it's always their fault. Why I can't do what I need to do. And once you get real honest with yourself, you can absolutely make changes in yourself.
That's right.
Am I saying that I did it without God? No, I'm not. I believe he gave me the strength to do what I did 100%. I know that he led me in the right direction. But I also do know that he requires that once he gives you the ability to do something, that you go do something with it.
Yeah, that's right.
Oftentimes, as far as that's concerned, we talk so much about, especially, folks, the religious folks, I guess you would say, or the Christians, we say, I just want God to move. I want God to move. God has moved, and God has spoke, and God has given us ability, and we're not doing anything with what he's already given us.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
You can't keep asking for him to give when you haven't done anything with what he's already given you. And we have to stand up. We have to take responsibility. We do have a word, we do have a voice, and we have a lot more influence than many people realize. And I'm just crazy enough to believe that we can change the world with the message of Jesus and carnivore, and that's that's what I talk about.
Yeah, and it's just one little baby step, just eating this way, right, is just a little tiny baby step of faith. I mean, is it hard? Yeah, it's going to be hard, but if you do that, then it gets easier and it just snowballs and you start feeling better, and then physically you're sleeping at night, and then your mental clarity comes. And then, my husband says a lot of times, like, people don't do good because they don't feel good. And that's true. Like, I mean, I can say for years, we just had no energy at all. I had no energy, and I would try to have enough discipline to like make myself get on a treadmill and do something, or I would try to get out of my anxiety and my overwhelmed state and go outside and do something. And I would go out there and be like, never mind, I just need to go sit back in the house because it's just horrible out here, and it was my physical health wasn't taken care of. But if you take care of your physical health, just eat beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for 30 days.
Well, yes, and
your brain's going to start working good. You're going to have some good cholesterol in there. All the little receptors, I don't know, everything's going to start clicking again, and you're going to have energy, and you're going to sleep, and it just, good things will start happening.
Yeah, and it's just sad as Christians, and you go to assembly and everybody's praying for everybody. Everybody has cancer. Everybody is at a minimum overweight. Most people, unfortunately, are morbidly obese. And it's this American culture and this standard American diet. And then you have people like us who were these crunchy, healthy people that were sick all the time and were falling apart. And
we're the sickest, healthiest people we know.
yeah. And, it was just so unbelievable. And here we serve the great phisian. And I'm not saying, I'm not going to be preaching any Joel Osteen, your best life now or anything like that.
We're not exempt from, and we're still mortals. We're still human. We can still get cancer. We can still die tomorrow.
Right. But when your main food choice is some type of fast food thing. And it's all about, I mean, we're so addicted to food, man. We're so addicted to sugar. We're so addicted to the seed oils. And we weren't even doing any of that stuff, right? But then once you go carnivore and the brain fog leaves, you see it's even it's like amplified by like 1,000. And it's so weird because like everywhere you go, you see it and you're just like, wow, look at that poor guy, man. He's hurting. He's in such, and you just see the ill health and you see the swollenness of everybody's head and hands and everything. And it's just like, you can see it so clearly. And well, just like the guys at work, right? So Joe is like, one of my other colleagues, I've been telling him, I'm like, dude, stop jacking with the whole 30 and all this stuff. Go carnivore, right? And he's been yo-yoing and he works out really hard. But he's carrying a lot of extra weight, and so Joe's like, my buddy Joe's like, 5 days in, down 8 pounds. It's easy. I'm not hungry. Most of the time I'm eating once a day, and I said, tell him. So he was standing right there and I don't know if Josh is going to do it or not. And Josh is probably listening. And so you need to do it, Josh, and you're welcome.
It, Josh.
You're welcome, Josh.
Just try it.
You're welcome. That whole point that you just made though a while ago, Faith, that like the intentionality of it. That's how intentional became intentional carnivore for me. I was listening to a teaching on Jesus. Brad Gray, pastor somewhere in Tennessee. I saw him on YouTube, and he was talking about how intentional Jesus was when he was here. Whenever he pulled away from the crowds, whenever he healed the lame, whenever he, caused the blind to see, everything that he did, whether it was in a crowd or pulling away from the crowd to get with the Father, he was intentional about those things. Right. And so in my head, I'm thinking like, so if Jesus is intentional and, I'm a believer, right? So Galatians 2:20 says, I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ who lives in me. And if he's intentional about what he did by example, and if he's living in me and through me, then I have to be intentional as well. And I see Jesus in the place of Scripture consistently. He would feed them. He would feed people. He would heal people. He would teach people. He would meet their physical needs. And then he would have the opportunity to show them their greatest need, which is him. But he always met them where they were. And if we are allowing him to live through us, how can we act any different from his character? That's the first thing that I wanted to relate to what you were saying. And second thing to what you were saying, TD, like, honestly, how in the world can I as a believer think that God can save my soul from hell but can't deliver me from my addictions?
Right, exactly. Right. Amen.
I'm like, you got to start living it. You've got to start living it because you're saying this, but you're living like this. And I'm not pointing fingers at nobody out there, nobody watching. Not. I'm pointing them right here. I've got to start living it, what I see, and that's important.
The socially acceptable crack of Western Christianity is food. It is like absolutely the most socially acceptable addiction, especially sugary desserts and all of it, and and it is absolutely a culture. And, the culture is going a certain direction. And we say all the time on our channel, like in a very real way, we have to be anti-culture. And, now even with our diet, it's anti-culture. And it's like, oh, are you going to eat that way forever?
And it's funny. I explained to my little kids this morning, because we've been grilling on the back porch in the morning. So I've been making them up their fried eggs and their ground beef, and they're like little carnivores on the back porch in the morning. And my little girl, she was asking, I don't know what it was about. Oh, because they had some ice cream the other day because there was a fellowship at church. And I said, for dessert, there was all kinds of desserts on the dessert table. I said, you can have the ice cream. That's what y'all can have for the dessert, right? Because that's pseudo carnivore, maybe, right? So it's store bought. So, it ain't perfect. It ain't Dr. Kiltz's ice cream. But so she said, well, I wish I had that cake or something this morning. I said, but I'm like, you have to understand. I said, mommy and daddy's doing this so you all don't have to go through all of the things that mommy and daddy had to go through, and I was listening to this other girl this week, and she was just going through like her life from a child all the way up to like she's in her 40s now, and all of the health stuff that she's suffered. And she went carnivore, and it's cleaned it all up. And she said, she's a Christian. She's trying not to be angry at, just the lies that she was fed her whole entire life. When you're 40 something and just figuring it out. But I was listening to her stuff, and she had a lot of women's health issues. And I thought, Lord willing, my little girl won't have to go through that. Now when she becomes an adult, she's going to make her own choices. And, our older boys, they make their own choices when they go out and buy their food, and we can encourage them and tell them what's right. And so far they've been totally on board, and they're excited about it. They see the benefits of it, but when they become adults, they'll make their own choices. But to have these tools in their tool belt to say, oh no, that's right, mommy and daddy, they ate this way. And I thought it was kind of crazy, but I didn't have to suffer all that stuff that those other kids had to suffer growing up, or young adulthood or whatever.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really, it bothers me now that like I didn't know any different like most parents. And like I allowed my kids to just have whatever. Now we weren't over the top with the sugars and stuff, but processed foods for sure. And like my kids, I got a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old who eat how the standard American diet. And it's like they are now at the age where they're going to have to fight these addictions and overcome them themselves.
That's right.
Because and if I had known different, it would definitely look a lot different. Just because I would have done everything that I could to keep them from struggling with some of the things that I just was ignorant about. It's not an excuse. I should have known better, but I didn't. So, but what we can do going forward, my kids eat probably more meat than anything now, and it's not an option. It's like, here's what we have at the table. If you would like to eat, you're more than welcome to eat. If not, you are more than happy to get your job and go buy your own food.
There you
That's
go.
Right.
I like it.
That's
I
right.
like it.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And I think I stand behind that. I think there was another girl, I can't remember who it was, and she was saying, for little ones, it might have been Kelly Hogan that said this too. Like, it was easy for the kids because you're the parent, and for little ones, like, that makes it really easy when they're not driver's license, they're not leaving the house, going and working and doing their own life. If you have little ones in your house, you have to be gentle and you have to be nice about it, but you can gradually switch them over. They're little. You are the one going to the store, buying the stuff and bringing it home. So they might not like it for a little while, but you're the boss there in the house, and you can do that. Now, as they get into teenagers, like you said, and they're working and they're out and about, that they have self-responsibility, and, that's a different thing. But yeah, that's true.
There's no better way that you can help your children than to leave that kind of legacy. I mean, the way I see it, there's no better way that, like, eating carnivore, that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because it really made a huge difference in my life. And I know where I came from and where I'm at, and I'm seeing it. And I believe that all these testimonies, all these examples of all these people who speak out are going to, at some point, there's going to be a point where they get bigger than all the research articles that people want to see from the system that has lied to us for so long. Eventually, that becomes obsolete. People realize, oh, why am I waiting to see a study from the people who pushed this lie for the last 100 years?
Right. Yeah.
It's just that study's never going to happen. But all
That's
these
right.
testimonies of all these people will. There's no better way to represent our faith. There's no better way to be prepared and stand up and let our voice be heard in our country, for our country, than to get ourselves healthy. If you
That's
Right.
right.
can't,
Yeah.
if you're wrapped up in yourself and your own health, and I'm not saying it's your fault, but it is your, like Dr. Barry, it is your responsibility.
Yeah.
Whenever this country faces those hard days and we end up in another war or whatever the case may be, because eventually it will come.
Mm-hmm.
If you are so wrapped up in your health and your own metabolic
That's right.
disease that you can't function within what you have now, you're not going to be able to do anything then. So you have
Yeah.
to prepare now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is all, Catherine Austin Fitz, she calls it the slow kill. And you can trace this whole thing back by these transnational mega corporations and this whole seed oil injection thing and this whole industrialization of our food system. And also, Catherine Austin Fitz talks about it's a slow kill, and that's how you control a society. They're
Yep.
docile, they're fat,
Yep.
they're in a brain fog.
Feed 'em
they're,
grain.
They're taking their soma, to just cope. And then Texas Slim from the Beef Initiative, he talks about the pharmaceutical, medical, industrial complex, and then they've taken all our beef, right? And they ship it. They take our American beef, they sell it for top dollar overseas. They prepackage in the Chinese stuff and they wash it with bleach, right? And we can still, even on that trash meat, we can still see amazing health benefits. How much even more amazing is it if you buy local and you can shake a rancher's hand and you can connect, because it's going to do threefold. One, you're going to get healthy. Two, you're going to make that rancher profitable so that he can continue to do what he does to feed you, so it's this cycle. And what we have to do is we have to reverse that industrial cycle that's been foisted upon us since the early 1900s, and it didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to change back overnight. But just like the discipline that we have to have and the intentionality we have to have with actually what we put in our mouth, we got to carry that intention forward with the entire process and take back our food sovereignty, right? And know our rancher. Hey, do what you can where you are with what you got.
That's right.
I'm not, you know what you want, take what you get. So we all want to have ideals and we want to be idealistic and we want to fix the problem.
But you don't have to be. You
But
can
if
get
you
your
gotta,
beef at Sam's Club if you need to.
got to buy your beef
That's
at
right.
Sam's Club, if
Yeah.
you got to buy it at Costco, do
That's
it.
right.
Like I'm not telling you to sabotage yourself. But what I'm saying is, in order for us to completely and effectively reverse this entire judo flip that we've been flipped on, is we have to carry this whole process all the way through. And this comes back to the decision that we made to relocate. We want to live an intentional life, a slower paced agrarian intentional life. We don't want our kids growing up playing video games and all these different things. We want them running outside in their bare feet, through the woods and everything else, catching lizards and all this stuff. And that's that intentionality, like you're speaking to. And it's taking that intentionality, taking it with our diet and our health, taking it with our Christian beliefs, our Christian ethics, and then just carrying it all the way through into our economics, parallel society, parallel community, parallel economy. This is, we just have to keep carrying this forward. And I get real excited when I see guys like Sean Baker, mock the vegans. I love it because, this whole vegan psyop thing that's,
it's very smart. And it's very, I think he's really smart about what he's doing. He's making people laugh at something that is a serious problem.
And hopefully I got a hold of his assistant and they asked me for my calendar, my calendar. I'm like, well, I don't have a calendar, but I'm going to try to get him on the podcast. So I think it's going to happen. But
Nice.
Yeah.
Good deal.
yeah, so
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think
That's-
it's so important that as we tell this message of, the right way to eat. And here's the other thing I always want to stress, like, oh, but how do you explain this? Like, from the Bible, like, how do you explain it? And I'm like, look, I can't explain. Look, our food system has been systematically attacked for over 100 years. They're spraying stuff from the sky. Our soils are massively depleted. There's soil erosion.
Our
There's
water is messed
there's demineralization. Our water is poisoned and polluted, right? So, like, why is all this stuff toxic? Probably because of all those reasons. Okay. So, but God created a cow, right, with 3 stomachs and a filter. And somehow, even according to a Texas A&M study, supposedly, now, you know how studies go, but they claim that they cannot find they cannot find Roundup in the beef with cows that eat Roundup sprayed hay. Now, I'm not saying that that's true, but there's definitely something to the fact that these ruminant animals can process this arable land and stuff that we absolutely can't eat and not have any sustenance from. And they can create this nutrient dense stuff called meat and fat, and we can eat it
and be healed
like have massive results in 60 days. It's so bizarre.
And I mean, all we did was take away the grains and take away the vegetables. I mean, we've been eating out of our pantry for years now. And we're like, really, just removing these 2 side items from our plate, like, what is it really going to do? And come to find out, like, it's crazy powerful. Like, yeah, it did everything that we didn't even know we had issues with. Like, I didn't even think about, like, my depression or anxiety, or I wasn't even thinking about sleep, or, I mean, just energy level, like all of these crazy things, like, pain, joint pain, I'm older, he's older, just like, oh, wow. I can just turn over in bed like that and it doesn't hurt. Oh, before I had to like do a 2-step process to turn over like that. That doesn't hurt now. Okay. Crazy stuff. I mean, it's hard to keep track of it all.
Oh, absolutely. I love it when I've gotten a couple of those. Where in the Bible does it say for us to eat just meat? I'm like, oh, are we talking Bible or are we talking diet? Because, like, if you want to talk Bible, we can talk Bible. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. Like, let's start right there. Let's start, you know, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Anything in excess is a sin. All those different scripts. We could talk Bible. Or we could. Can I sit down with my Bible right here and prove to you that, we're supposed to only eat just meat? No, but I know how my body responded when that's what I did, and I know who created me to work. I know who created me to work that way.
Right.
So, and the other strange thing is they're acting like beef is like some extraterrestrial thing. I mean, God created cows. This is absolute undeniable. God created cows to eat grass on arable land that we cannot do anything else on. It was designed to grow grass, right? And these cows can go out there and convert that grass that we cannot eat into nutrient dense food that will absolutely heal us, might heal you of every conceivable known ailment known to man. How many testimonials like Carrie at Homestead How do you have to hear where he had like mini strokes? He had congestive heart failure. He lost 100 and some pounds, was on 20 some meds. He had every conceivable known ailment known to man. and he even had, I think he had cancer on his ear. So he even had cancer. Now it was minor.
Right.
It was like some kind of skin cancer, but that dude had every conceivable ailment known to man, joint problems, and they're all gone within like 60 days. I mean, it's just,
It's amazing what carnivore can do.
it just becomes like, do you really want to argue about, like, hey, prove me wrong. Just do it for 30 days. Do it for 30 days. Be real. Do it for real. Do it for 30 days and prove me wrong. That's all. You know, because everybody that does it with any type of consistency are like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank all you guys for the super chats too. I hadn't been mentioned. I've been enthralled in my conversation and having a great time. But thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate you as well. And there was one more, Carnivore Chronicles. Thank you as well. Appreciate those super chats and super stickers and all. You guys are great. I don't think I've missed any questions, but if I did, you guys just post them back in there, and or we'll just keep conversating. We'll run for a little bit long. I don't know what time you guys got to go, but
we're good.
We're right at an hour right now, and you know. We'll chat for just a few. I could talk all night with you guys.
Oh yeah.
But it's good with me, you know. That's one of the. I talk about laughing a while ago. I was going to bring this up. I listened to earlier. I was out walking, and I put on your podcast where you was talking about the World Economic Forum and your impersonation of Klaus Schwab. I laughed about that. That was good. But it is like, for those people who are in the dark, like, that's the best thing that I like, coming to understand what is reality and what is going on in the real world. I quit watching a lot of politics and a lot of what's going on about 2008. Like I was listen to Rush Limbaugh and talk radio. And it's not that I like just hated it. It's just that, like, I was like, you're telling me a bunch of stuff I can't do anything about.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, why in the world am I going to worry and my mind going to be constantly just beat up with all this information? I have to do something with what I can control and what I can affect.
Right.
Exactly.
And if I do my part and I can thrive and I can excel where I'm planted, and teach that to my children, and teach that to my neighbors, and teach that to my wife, and teach that to my friends, I'm going to make a huge impact where I'm at. And if we all do that, that's an army together.
That's right.
And so,
well,
you know,
go ahead.
Huge.
I'm sorry, Sean. Yeah. And
that's huge.
You hit on that earlier, saying, you know, if something comes, if hard times come and you're sick and you're consumed with your health issues, and hey, some of it's totally out of our control. You know, God's the one in control. I'm not saying everybody's going to be in perfect health if you eat this way. God is in control. But if we take responsibility, if you just step out on faith, that little tiny, just do a 30-day challenge and just try it and see what happens. Take that responsibility, like you said. We might be something to be reckoned with when all of God's people wake up and we're not consumed with our food addictions anymore, and we have our mental health back and we have our physical health back. I mean, our country, what can that do for a country? I mean, it's pretty impactful.
Absolutely, 100%. That's what, when I say that I'm crazy enough to believe that we can change the world, it's because in my brain, that's exactly the process that I'm thinking about. Do I think that eating a ribeye steak is going to change the world? Give me a break. Like, I know that what it did to my body and how it affected me, if that can reproduce itself into the 300 million Americans that are walking around out there.
That's right.
This country will be vastly different. And when America does good, the world does good. And it's not just an American problem, by no means. It's all over the place. But we can literally change the world that we live in a relatively short amount of time, if we can just get people to those answers and get that stuff to see. And that's why I think that it's very doable.
Yeah. And that's Dr. Chafee was talking to that just a little bit in his last live. live stream that he did, and he's talking about the serfs and talking about the Egyptians and different, like, past governments, that they were tyrannical, and they knew that they could control the population by just feeding them a certain way, just feeding them grain, feeding them, keeping them big. And he's just saying, is this what's happening and what's going on? I mean, it seems that way, that, a population can be so manipulated so easily when they're sick.
Yeah, it's why we homeschool, because that same Prussian brainwash model, cog worker bee in the communist machine, you go to school so you can get a good education so that you can get a good job, and you'll get this pension that's not going to be there because they're going to nuke the stock market. And I don't want to I don't want to get all doom and gloom on anybody, but I did that for 11 years. And that whole thing is an absolute Ponzi scam. And they flash their gang signs every 10 or 15 years when they want to extract all your wealth and give it away to the transnational corporations and the international bankers. But, we wanted to live this intentional lifestyle for the same reason that you said in 2008, you kind of unplugged from the news thing, because we want to do things and we want to affect things that we do have control over. Mm-hmm. We don't want to just have like our political sports team. I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat and everything they say is wrong and everything my team says is right, and but yet we continue to fall off this cliff, there's this fiscal cliff. Remember way back in like 2000 when like Republicans were fiscally conservative, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was, none of that exists anymore, dude. So we have to do. That's what's amazing about carnivore. You hear a lot of carnivores talk about this. It's about control, because and what that is you're breaking the sugar cycle, right? You're breaking that addiction so that you are in absolute and complete control, not like a control freak, but you're in control of what you put. And from a scriptural standpoint, that's called being sober. You're sober.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're sober when you're in control. You're not like, I can't. I just gotta eat that because, it looks so good. And I can't control myself. Yeah. Like I can't control my elbows, and so what's the Bible tells us all the time, be sober, and it's all part of, it's not moderation.
No, and I wasn't good at moderation.
And that's what's hilarious, is when people would always talk about moderation. I'm like, well, can you do opium in moderation? Can you do, meth in moderation? Like if moderation works, like it should work all the way across the board. Right. Like but it's all about being sober. And it is very freeing, and it's such a neat tool that you can have in your toolbox when you bump into somebody that you dearly love, and or somebody that has an ailment at church is like, hey, you should really think about this.
And then just let it go.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Yeah. Don't you don't have to, we got our YouTube channel to like preach at everybody about it, but but it's nice. It's like then, a neighbor, a few neighbors now that we've shared, they've had different things. And I'm like, I'm just going to text you this YouTube video. It might help. It might be something that you might be interested in. It's been helping us. And then that's it. Just let it go. Mm-hmm. And out of that, we've had like a handful of people that we know. I mean, there's people online too, but a handful of people that we physically know that we didn't push it. We didn't say, we said, this is what we're doing or whatever. We had them over. We would eat hamburgers without buns and they would have the hamburgers with the buns, but, but now they're just like, they're texting, I'm 30 days in, or, that guy that the boys bought the truck from on Craigslist, like just a random guy. He started asking us all these questions, and now he's like, I don't know.
Oh, he's like, yes, a couple months in.
Yeah.
And he's doing great.
That's just amazing.
It's hilarious. It's kind of fun. And it's just, oh, I saw that you guys were doing that on your YouTube channel. So I figured I would try it,
Yeah.
And it's wild,
It
I mean,
never
and when
gets
you don't,
old seeing-
when you don't have a choice, man, like, right. I mean, that's kind of where you were like, dude, what do I got to lose, man? I can try this. And I mean, and then how life-changing is it when it works?
Oh man, it's amazing. Like when I going through my journey, I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I would if I did it again. But like it was still amazing to experience 269 pounds in a little over a year. Like it's still, I walk in front of the mirror now and I'm like, who in the world? I had a bin full of clothes I have had since high school that was in the attic. I got it down there all too big. I got rid of most of them. I mean,
awesome.
Wow,
honestly,
that's crazy.
It's insane. I was like, well, maybe one day I'll get back into these. I mean, it's just how it works. It's amazing. And, gratitude is one thing that I'm huge on. Just saying thank you to those who stand up and let their voice be heard. I got to thank Dr. Barry. I've got to thank, those who basically were brave enough and stand up and share this way with me. And that's what, it never gets old being able to share this with somebody. And then, like you said, have them come back and tell you down, a month from now, hey, I seen your video. I tried this and it's working,
That's right.
Yeah.
It never gets old. And I hope there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that I'm able to reach. All of us together, we can reach the world. I know we can.
And the fascinating way that God's using this social media just to encourage people, because we're all going to be tempted, for lack of a better term. I mean, like just today, because I've been doing like intermittent fasting, trying to just eat one meal a day because I feel so great, And but today it was like it was right around noon, and I've never eaten 3 meals a day.
He's on day 2 of no coffee.
Yeah, I've totally cut out coffee.
So he's trying. We've been tweaking it, changing up things. I think that's the fun of it, is just like keep testing yourself. And I'm going to ask you when you're done too. I want to know what your day looks like now, like as far as what you're eating from day to day now too. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So normally I would do my carnivore coffee with like 4 raw eggs, a big heaping thing of tallow, and a teaspoon of honey. And that was definitely like a dessert for me. and I had great success having that every morning, but for whatever reason, I just felt like some of my inflammation was coming back. So originally we added back in butter. And when we added the butter back in, I immediately started having inflammation again. So I was on butter for like 30 days. So I cut it back out and all the inflammation went away.
And you had allergies again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your energy got goofy.
Yeah. My energy tanked, and it was so weird. Yeah. So I'm like, well, and I recognized it from my coffee, because that morning made my coffee 4 eggs, and I started putting like a quarter or half a stick of butter in it. And then I drank it and I'm like, man, instant post nasal drip. I'm like, and look, before carnivore, I've been on allergy medicine since I was a little kid every day. And if I don't take it, I get sinusitis. I get infected sinus. If I don't take it for more than 1 or 2 days in a row, I get sick and have to go on antibiotics, and have been that way since I was like 12. And ever since going carnivore, no allergy medicine at all. No post nasal drip. And that's what's so bizarre, and I know outsiders that look at this.
It sounds crazy.
They just totally say, yeah,
right. I know.
They do. I mean, but
I know they do. I would be too,
Yeah. I mean, so
it was lunchtime and you were going on day 2 of no coffee.
Yeah. So it was lunchtime, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to, I went to one of the healthcare, health food stores, and they have like the Archer grass-fed beef jerky. And they're really good, by the way. So I'm like, I'm getting 3 of these. I'm eating these. I'm like, because if I'm hungry, it's just going to be a reason to eat something stupid.
Well, they were inviting you out to pizza.
Well, they always do that. And I was like, I don't eat pizza. I'm a carnivore. You take me somewhere to get a piece of meat. and then I'll go with you. But I'm not going to the pizza shop. And they make incredible pizza, by the way.
Oh,
Anyway.
it's a struggle.
Yeah. But so what I did is I was like, I'm going to get the meat sticks, and I ate them, and I'm like, I'm gravy, dude. I'm good. I'm good to go. But don't put yourself in those types of circumstances where you're self-sabotaging and
Right.
you're going
Yeah.
to fail because you're almost because you want to, y'all. So you got to.
I think the safest thing to do in the beginning for sure is just to eat as soon as you're
Yes.
hungry or before
Just
you
eat
feel
all the
like you're
time.
hungry. Just
Yeah.
eat until you're full. Eat 3 times a day. Eat in between. Just eat your beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and just eat them to satiety. And that is the safest place to be mentally when those first few months, I would say.
Yeah,
So how about
the
for
first-
you? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the first 2 months, that's absolutely what I did. I ate 3 times a day or 4 or whatever until I was full, and then I didn't eat until I was hungry again and ate.
Right.
And then it after about whenever I went beef, butter, bacon, and eggs in June, June the 1st of 22, and that's what I've been eating ever since. But I cut it back to 2 meals because I was having a little bit of meat aversion, and I didn't want any more. And so I dropped the 3rd meal off, went to 2 meals at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. I was trying to narrow that eating window down and intermittent fast a little bit with it. And it worked beautiful. I just hit a sweet spot, and that's what I've done ever since, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. I even cut the bacon out for the most part. I got a video, it's like 5 minutes. I always say my wife makes these incredible eggs with butter, and she just mixes it's basically a deviled egg, but she uses hot water and butter and mixes up and put anyway. It's so simple, but it gives you that high fat energy push in the mornings about know, for a snack. It's sustainable. After I eat them, I'm good to go, and I eat a ribeye sometimes 2 in the evenings about 2 o'clock. And that's what I ate for a solid year. Now, ever since I got to 188 pounds, I have been working out and starving. So I went back to eating 3 times a day.
Okay.
If my body tells me you're hungry, I
That's
listen
right.
and go feed it. Because I'm not putting junk in. I'm putting protein and fat in. And that's it. And so when it tells me I'm hungry, I know it means business. I learn to listen to it. You know,
Right.
if I'm bored, I'll try to find something to do. I don't snack, but I will eat. If that's 3 times a day, it's 3 times a day, and I'll eat till I'm full still.
Okay.
So.
And where do you see, with your weight loss, has that like slowed? What are you shooting for as far as composition wise?
I was trying to get to 190.
Okay.
And so after I passed one, that was just, matter of fact, whenever I stumbled into that Dr. Berry video, I said, all right, Dr. Berry, if what you're saying works, I want to be 190 pounds. And I'm last time I weighed, I was at 188. It's probably been a month ago. I just don't weigh anymore. I don't even care.
Yeah.
Like I mean, and not that I'm against it. I work out. I do 2 45-minute workouts a day, every day.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know. I feel awesome. I don't work out because I think you need to work out. I work out because I personally feel good when I'm doing it. I feel great when I'm working out and walking, and most of it is walking. And I just get alone with my head and my thoughts. And like you said at the opening up of this thing, having a plan. If we're going to live intentionally, we got to have a plan. We're not just going to accept whatever life throws at us and whatever everybody else has left over that we get to take as our own. We can live intentionally, have a plan, have a goal, have a dream, and believe you can get to it, and ask God to help you get there.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So
that's true.
I really enjoyed this, man.
It's been great. And I think, if anybody's new to this or just getting started, or you've been doing it for a while and you're looking for support groups, or you're looking for, just I mean, there's lots of us here on YouTube that you can listen to for
Mhm.
free. There's all of the different doctors, Dr. Barry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Kiltz, so many different carnivore doctors. And just stay encouraged. I would say educate yourself, just submerge yourself in education and just that support community group that's either official if you join an official group like Dr. Barry's group, or Steak and Butter Girls groups. There's lots of different ones. Kelly Hogan's got groups. And yeah, just find your people and listen to them, and don't get isolated. Don't feel lonely on the journey. We're all here to help. You can always shoot us an email. I know, Sean, you've said many times, shoot me an email, for different people. If you're just, just need some encouragement or got a question real quick and don't have anybody to ask, we're here for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, and Barbara wanted to know, our YouTube channel is The Texas Boys. So we're The Texas Boys, and me and my son Matt, we do a podcast called The Fearless Podcast. You can get it on all your podcatchers. So we are The Texas Boys. And if you're local and looking for grass-fed beef, you can check us out at thetexasboys.com. And you can find all of our stuff and links there. And definitely, if you enjoy podcasts, check out the Fearless Podcast.
Yes. And Sean, do you want to shout out where everybody can find you at too?
Yeah, absolutely. Intentional Carnivore here. On Instagram, it's Intentional Carnivore, but I'll be honest, I'm hardly ever on Instagram. I do get on there. I'm just not good with it. Technology is my nemesis. I'm on Rumble, same. And Carnivorous Community is the community on Facebook that I created to give a place for people to crash. I think we just hit, or we're real close to hitting 4,000 in there right now.
Oh, that's cool. That's great.
A lot of them are not even subscribed to me on YouTube, honestly.
That's really cool. Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It's just a place I wanted people to be able to go book and communicate and have that closer, conversation and community stuff. And I feel like that's a great place to be. So those are the places that you can find me. And I get one question. I think he's asking this to you though. Is there any possibility of offering a discount for carnivores to purchase your products? I would love to support regenerative farmers, but cannot afford the price.
Well,
on our beef, there's not really a lot we can do because everything keeps going up. The price of everything keeps going up, and we try to stay competitively priced for grass fed.
I would just encourage, if you can't afford our prices on there, go find another local farmer. If there's cows somewhere, go contact somebody, or go to your local butcher shop and see what you can do there.
A lot of people never, like, we have a couple within distance, within 30 minutes, we probably have like 4 butcher shops. And a lot of people, we've been so industrialized that a lot of people never think of, they're just Google butcher. That's and you're going to find them, and you can get your different cuts of beef. You're going to get more fat as well. And you can tell them how you want it. Like one thing that we do,
and your organs.
One thing that we do with our ground beef is we tell them to maximize the fat. So I think our ground beef is like a 60-40, and that is spectacular. One of the things that they're doing at the Beef Initiative is they're starting to educate people on the cuts of beef, because that's a lost science. And I was listening to Texas Slim on there, and he was explaining, and I'd never even thought about this, but what they used to do with the ground beef is they used to grind in the organs into the ground beef, and it made it so that much better. So we're probably going to experiment, maybe not with the liver. I'm afraid that I'll contaminate the ground beef if I put the whole liver in there, but like the heart and the tongue, like getting it ground up in your ground beef, experimenting with that too.
Yeah. So check out your local butcher shops, and you could get fat trimmings, even just barbecue shops. If you're in the South and there's a barbecue place, go there and ask them, hey, what do you do with the fat trimmings? And you can work out some deals and make some connections. Just get out there and start asking around.
Absolutely. I agree. One more question, and then we'll wrap it up. Nola says, have you noticed a ton of Christians are drawn to carnivore and keto Absolutely, I have noticed that. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot. One of my first live streams that somebody mentioned, we had a Christian, a Muslim, and what was it? Christian Muslim, somebody from some other faith that was in there all at the same time. I was like, well, praise the Lord.
That's funny.
You know, we all together, I guess. But you know, I have noticed a lot of Christians in this space, and I'm thankful to share the way. It's obviously I make it mostly about carnivore, but I you know, it's intertwined to a point that like it's Jesus and carnivore for me. That's basically all I got. You know, that's the two things that's changed my life. And if you do, I can have a beautiful, healthy body, and if it gets thrown into hell, what good is it? You know.
That's right.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that's true.
right.
Amen.
So absolutely.
Well, thanks for
anyway,
having us, Sean. This was great, man.
Man, thanks for
Anytime.
having me on too. Yeah.
We're down, man. We're part of the community, so like we definitely want to help Carrie with the documentary. I think it's like huge, and we want to be part of that, and we want to be part of promoting whatever's going on,
Any way we can.
just to help people to see that they have an option. You don't have to be depressed. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to be overweight.
That's right.
You don't have to be discouraged and defeated. And you know,
can live life.
there's hope.
You can enjoy your
just
Yes.
eat very basic, simple diet and live the way you're supposed to live.
That's right.
Absolutely, and let's definitely do it again, man. I love it. I love talking with people that's doing good things, and I really enjoyed it, which I knew I would. It's even after listening to some of you guys' other stuff, I was like, this is gonna be an amazing time, and it has been. So I wish you guys the best of luck, and as well, and not just with YouTube and all that stuff, with what you're doing every day. You know, living life and raising kids and having a homestead and all the different things, you know.
Yeah,
Wish you
y'all
success
too.
in all of it. So,
Yeah.
but everybody, if you guys enjoyed the show, go down in the comments. Let us know what you think about it. And I guess we'll see you guys on the next go round. I appreciate you guys
Alrighty.
being here. I love you guys, and you stay strong and keep pushing forward. We'll see you.